but plenty of fun and games. Oh, what exactly is it you want?
She smiles and she tells you that she does so like games.
Lucius holds up a deck of cards, but I don't think you mean this sort of game.
So,
Fans the
no,
cards.
of course not.
Kind of fans himself. Fans the cards, fans himself with it.
Gambling is an excellent way to lose all of your money.
Believe me, madam, I know this.
She seems to take great pleasure in your answer. She says, as it happens, she has business in the building that you're watching today. That she'll be paying a visit later this evening. And the conversation could go one way, or it could go another way. As conversations are wont to do. She finds the direction a conversation takes is usually dependent by the amount of weight she must carry in her pouch. And she pats a leather pouch hanging from her belt on the side of her cloak. It's rather empty at the moment.
I guess the more it weighs, the more positively inclined someone is, eh?
Positively or negatively. Depends on what you need, dear Lucius.
Pray tell, what business could you possibly have in that building?
She asks you if that's an honest question or if we're still playing games.
I want to know the answer to that question, to be perfectly honest.
A true answer?
The best kind of answer.
My own truth or some other truth?
We'll start with your truth and work from there.
My truth is very valuable indeed. And I would not speak it for less than 20 gold pieces.
Lucius reaches into a pouch, pulls out 2 platinum coins. Is this equitable in trade?
And she puts on a fake pouty face for a moment and says, 2 coins weighs my pouch much less than 20, but I suppose it spends the same.
Lucius nods.
She takes the 2 coins, puts it in her pouch. Says, truthfully, the man who lives there is an enemy of the state.
And why hasn't a fine such upstanding organization who has discovered such things reported it to the crown, I wonder?
The crown is even stingier with its gold than you are, dear Lucius.
So what business do you have with an enemy of the state?
She tells you that the man who lives there is a man named Kenduis.
Kenduis. I'm putting that on our notes page.
Yeah.
Kenduis. Yep.
What part of the city is he in?
Right now, they're in West Harbor.
Okay.
Because originally they tailed this guy from the Chestnut Pie, where Journey lives, to just this kind of shack where he's holed up for the moment. And they've been watching it for the better part of the day. Kenduis, she says, they know that he's dangerous. They know that he commands some form of magic. And they know that their benefactor, which is to say the people hiring them to find this information, are from very far out of town. What she's here to do tonight is to determine whether or not the information they gleaned from the investigation can also be sold to the crown. And during the course of this investigation, she may or may not reveal that you are staking out the place.
Shameful that he would sell this information to the crown rather than give it up willingly for the safety of all. course.
Oh, dear Lucius. I do love your
Dear
japes.
me. Would that it were a jape, madam. Would that it were.
Florian, I really don't think he likes me.
I think he likes you very much.
And so,
Pulling your hair and everything.
if it comes one way or another, shall I reveal to my contact that there are eyes glued to their doors? Or shall I not?
Only because we still got to deal with the fucking flying pig.
Yeah.
And if we were to say mum's the word, how much would that cost?
Mum is very expensive. I know that you've never met her, but Mother Vandalay only prefers the finest and most expensive of things.
Certainly.
Another
That
20
hardly
another
hardly-
20 gold ought to do.
What did you say, Brickrick?
Another 20 gold ought to do.
Lucius makes a show of fishing out more coin. Hands it over.
Okay, she takes it. She says, Lucius, I do so love running into you on the street. I always find it to be quite lucrative.
See, you seem to think that he hates you, but he has given you precious, precious platinum. And if he hated you, would he ever think to do something like that?
She says she concedes the point, and she's glad to count Lucius among her dearest friends. And with that, she begins to back away from the both of you.
Only the dearest.
After dark, the door opens and the gray cloaked man comes out. And you do see a momentary interaction between him and an old beggar woman stooped over on the street, clattering a cup back and forth. And he shoos her away. Just doesn't pay her any minds at all. And he begins walking in the direction of the chestnut pie. Your investigation checks were much better than your stealth checks. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Here's what you learn about Kendrick's. He doesn't ever realize that you're tailing him.
Okay.
And you can tell as he's walking to the chestnut pie, he's avoiding walking through the lamplight of the streets. It's kind of a dingy night anyway. And you can see very clearly that he's dressed much, much more warmly than would typically be the case for this time of year. His cloak is very heavy. He's wearing full sleeves and breeches. He's wearing gloves. He's wearing a thick collar. The only part of him that would be visible is his face, and he's got this cloak drawn up over his head. You guys said a 10, though.
We did.
Let's get a perception check. I'll let one of you make it. The other one can help.
+2 to it.
Perception? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a +4.
My passive. If he was asking for passive perception, then I have a 17, but
18.
So when you notice this, you realize you've got to get a look at this guy's face. And you do. You manage to get ahead of him just before he gets inside. And you catch a glimpse of his face as it's partially illuminated by the hearth inside the chestnut pie before he pulls his cloak down across it as he steps in the door. And his face is ashen gray. Unmistakably, this man is a dark elf.
fascinating.
This is the second drow that we've met now.
That you know of?
Well,
Second drow in as many months.
Now,
Interesting.
your previous interaction with this man was you know that he spent time in Journey's room. If it were to get out that Journey is having any kind of tryst with a drow, that would destroy her reputation almost instantly. There are not fond feelings of dark elves in Dunfoss.
Is there a particular reason, or is it just general, like...
Drow are just fucking evil.
Well, I know. Like, is it just in general Drow are fucking evil, or did the Drow do something to people?
So
Dunfoss?
There aren't a lot of Drow coming through Dunfoss. Most of what's known about the Drow are their stake in the wars in the Underdark. And none of those stories are good. There are quite a lot of gnomes in Dunfoss. Alex would know, especially being a deep gnome. The Drow are slavers. They are users of profane magic. They follow just an incredibly evil goddess. And they don't come topside. The sun destroy them, is what's said.
I mean, just the other day, he did tell us what the kind of stuff that our client was getting up to.
But at no point, following Kenduis back to this inn, did he notice that you were tailing him. So it does at least seem like Tia kept up her side of the bargain.
This puts us on an interesting crossroads, Lucius.
It's concerning, yes.
We are currently working with one Drow. And if we release the information that Journey is, charitably say, working with the Drow herself, that would almost certainly destroy her.
Same leverage could be used against us as well.
Do we have any right to do this? Should we further investigate about this Drow?
I think we press down further before we release any information. Yes.
I do not like this crossroads.
Nor I, but I mean that's the kind of business that we get into in these kind of in this line of work, friend.
And we've established that neither Lucius nor Florian have ever actually been to the Underdark.
No.
So they don't know that
it's
it's actually a majestic candy land filled with rainbow rivers and cotton candy clouds.
It could be.
I mean,
maybe it is to some Drow.
It does have giant mushrooms in it, so...
Mushrooms and the clouds of spores are really lovely this time of year.
Anything else you guys want to do with Kenduis tonight, or is that enough investigation for now?
No, I think it's good to put brakes on that.
Investigation.
Yeah.
So Alex can advance your research. Gus you can erase your last level of exhaustion. Seeker, your death penalties are all gone, and you can go ahead and give yourself the money for setting up the sale.
Right, and I'd like to also, while talking to him, see if he's interested in buying the set of plates that we found.
Oh, the flatware?
Did you guys ever identify those?
Yes, they have a 5% chance of charming the diner. And when talking to the trader, I'm very clear about that. Like, I don't lie and say, oh, they're just, like, fancy plates. I say, like, no, they have this thing that might be interesting to some, it might not.
He has no interest in owning them.
Yeah.
But for a 30% commission on the sale, he will find a buyer for you.
Can I haggle with him?
Sure. Make a persuasion check.
All right. That is a... Gotta use these rolls for good, important purposes. Never in combat.
Right.
That is a 20.
20. What do you try to haggle him down to?
15.
15%?
Yeah.
What's your passive insight?
My passive insight is not terrible. 13.
13? You can haggle him down to 15%, but you can tell as you go past 20 and then 18, you can tell that if you push him all the way down to 15, the chances of him doing business with you in the future are diminished.
Okay, so but if I stick it to 18, then he'll have the impression I'm a tough negotiator, but he won't be unwilling to do business, is what you're saying.
Right. If you push him all the way to 15, he'll do this one deal through, but then probably decline future offers. Because taking him down to half of his original...
Yeah, and Seeker will kind of pick up on that.
Okay.
And will stop arguing once they get down to 20. Just say, like, trying to keep everyone happy.
And yeah, he shakes hands on 20% of the commission. He can't promise when a buyer will be found, but as soon as he does and he knows how much these particular plates will sell for. He gives you the name of an appraiser in town.
Yep.
To have them, I don't know what they're worth.
I added the 600 for the sales, Nodal.
Okay.
That almost covers all the bribes they had to pay Tia tonight.
That's
Almost.
10, baby. Woo!
Anything else happening on the 3rd today?
Lucius wants to continue gambling. Like anytime he doesn't have anything pressing at the moment, he's going to spend some downtime.
Well, you don't have any more
Gambling,
downtime.
56
You spent the day investigating Journey, so you don't have enough time to do a full downtime action at the cards. You can still go there and hang out.
I'm going to show everybody. I'm going to show everybody at the Varge my new familiar, and I'm going to show the dirty words that I taught it to speak.
What is your familiar?
It's a raven. It
raven.
can speak simple sounds. It makes simple sounds. Like, I guess this would be a thing to question, because I do like how would you classify words as simple sounds?
Treble, listen to me, okay?
Uh-huh.
I'm inclined to say that words can be phrased, can be simple sounds.
Uh-huh.
I want to say that. Here's the problem. Nodal's also listening. So you see my predicament.
I'm just going to quietly mention to no one in particular that I have personally heard ravens speaking.
No, I
like
have
they
too.
were a parrot.
Yeah, I get it, but
Yeah.
it's like, man.
I'm just saying that no one in particular.
Yeah, you can train your raven to say dirty words. That's fine.
Well, like I'm gonna.
Your alignment is
other
evil
words.
now. You're changed to evil, so.
It's
Oh,
a
buddy.
celestial though.
It's an
It's a
evil
familiar. You
celestial.
don't have to do much training.
So, Brick Road, question about
Yes, sir.
find familiar that I have kit bash together. Are you putting the same restrictions that you would a Pact of the Chain Warlock on casting that you would?
I'm not familiar with the restrictions. I don't know the actual class features you're talking about. Is this a question
Okay.
that we can research after the session?
Yeah, we can hash that out after session.
Let's do that then, because I don't want to bust open books
Okay.
right now.
No, fair enough.
The morning of the 4th is when King Maximilian is going to come out to the King's Walk and speak to the aggregated crowds in Great Tables Park. Does Flumph Inc. intend to listen?
Absolutely.
Seeger's
why
gonna be
not?
there.
Okay.
Is
I
it
had a-
possible to listen from the roof of a building in High Bluffs or Northgate instead?
Possibly from... Yeah, I don't see why not.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest everybody get up on one of the roofs.
Or East Harbor as well, because, I mean, he's giving
Okay.
the speech from
Yep.
this road.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen from East Harbor.
Okay.
Okay.
And, I mean, even the rooftops are packed.
Yeah.
People crammed into buildings and windows, and the crowds here. It looks like almost every dwarf and gnome in Dunfoss has turned out at least, and a lot of these are the refugees having come from the north that have been on the road for days.
Hey, when we're going here, there's one thing I want to do out of Paranoia Brick.
Yeah.
I want to cast a See Invisibility on myself, and then I want to give a detailed description of what I'm seeing basically to Seeker, and compare notes to see if there's anyone invisible.
Okay.
Are you gonna send your cat bird thing closer?
To
Well, just like, I'm going to be like, oh, here comes the king. He's got 7 guys in his party. If Nodal says they have 6 guys in their party.
Yeah,
then
no,
we know
I am
something's
gonna
up.
in fact use my eyes to clarify that with you. My ears, though.
And there is, as far as you can tell, no invisible members of the king's party. And that checks out with what you know of King Maximilian. It's probably been a long time since any of you have seen the king. He's had once or twice over his tenure. You can recall, especially Florian. Because King Maximilian actually signed into law the presence of the Signers Guild. And that's one of this famous speeches that he gave, explaining to the citizens of Dunfoss the purpose of the Signers Guild and why having a mage's college specifically to look over trade agreements and look out for the city's merchants and things. And that might be the last time you remember him speaking to the crowd, and even that was many years ago now. That was almost a decade ago. Dunfoss has not been engaged in any wars since Maximilian. His reign has been completely peaceful, but he looks ancient now. And he comes out with a large entourage of silver shields, led by his brother or his sister?
Are the Silver Shields an organization that would serve? Do they go to the next king, or are they just something he brought?
The Silver Shields are a title, and it's the king's prerogative how he wants to organize them. So the next king will have a set of Silver Shields, but they will not resemble Maximilian's. So right now the Palace Guard is led by a woman named Dora Dotlin Silverwolf. Is the widow of Maximilian's brother. And she is also very old, but she still has quite a lot of fight. She wears her armor, her back stands straight. You have to imagine some construction was done on the King's Road, so a bunch of dwarves can be seen over the rails of the road. Groups of mosscaps are guarding the stairs up onto the King's Walk. Nobody's being admitted up.
Are there any of those... You mentioned that some of the refugees, the Dwarven refugees, were nobles or were merchants.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any of those in evidence?
Not on
like
the King's
group
Walk,
of them listening?
but definitely you see groups of them down in Great Tables Park and in East Harbor on either side.
I'm going to send my familiar over invisible to listen in on any of them, see if they have anything to say that they are saying amongst themselves.
Okay.
And I'm going to do the same thing with the crowds that I'm doing with the King's Guard.
Okay.
Mostly just trying to see if there's anybody invisible. I'm hoping we can maybe pick them out.
I do apologize for Lulu. Like, I've learned to just tune her out.
Oh, it's fine.
No,
So-
dude, I didn't even hear her until you mentioned it because I too have dealt with dog.
I dealt with Doggo.
Yeah.
He's such a good dog otherwise. You don't find anybody invisible, but let's get a perception check from the two of you.
Okay.
Oh, I can't cast that because that's a 20.
Okay? How about Secret?
And from me, that is a 16.
Both of you see groups of black jackets down amongst the crowds. This is in addition to probably a larger than normal group of them, 8 or 10 perhaps, on either side of the King's Walk. And you can tell they're on high alert. And the only thing they could be on high alert for would be magic shenanigans. Gus, I know you love magic shenanigans, but right now would be a real bad idea. Like, you just got 2 days in the stocks because of your previous magic shenanigans.
No, Gus likes the regular kind of shenanigans
Mhm.
more. Magic shenanigans, or they have too much. It's too much material component cost.
As for what the merchants are talking about as you're listening in and the crowds are talking about, the merchants are very pensive. They're kind of on edge. And they're discussing their reservation about this Silver Wolf. Whether he is still a son of the mountain or whether he is the king of Dunfoss, and whether one of those aspects of him will override the other. They're hoping that Dunfoss will lend aid, but they're not really expecting it. They don't have a lot of faith in Maximilian.
I'm just going to keep listening in on them because I have a plan.
Okay. And who else is up there? Hoodraud Silverwolf is a younger dwarf, but still a member of the king's family. He is the head jailer in town. He's one of the higher level mosscaps. And you see him out and about, directing mosscaps in the crowd. Any of you who are actually paying attention to the Great Tables Park side of things notice this and are able to pick this man out. The reason this is interesting is because he's the head jailer. He's not the captain of the mosscaps. This seems like an overstep of his of his station. The king gives a short speech and to the point. And even at his advanced age and apparent illness, his voice booms out over the crowd. And remember, the citizenry of Dunfoss love King Maximilian. It's been many years of peace and prosperity under his rule. A lot of people, mostly dwarves, but a lot of people have gotten rich under his reign. His message is that King Magbeck of House Rockbones in Gralgram has been killed in the Gralgram mountain home to the north, which is where the Silver Wolf family, his family, for many generations has heralded from. Some sort of infection took root, and before the healers could find its source and cut out the corruption, the stones covering the tombs of his forefathers and the forefathers of the other dwarven houses in Gralgram were blown open. And the dead assaulted Gralgram from the inside. Armies of them. Thousands of ancient dwarven dead. This is a fierce enemy coming from the earth itself. His family has long turned to taking wealth out of the earth, to showing the world the pleasant and beautiful things that come from earth and stone, but also there are vile and evil things. He says that Dunfoss stands with Gralgram in their time of need, and he will be sending an army north, both to liberate Gralgram from their clutches and to stand as a shield to ensure that the dead cannot march south on Dunfoss. To this end, he will be... I have to look at my notes here again. He will be organizing the Thedelsmen, which is an order of knights who command armies in time of war. And he will be calling on every family, every household in Dunfoss to send an able-bodied fighter to serve as a soldier in the coming war. Or, if a house cannot or will not send an able-bodied fighter, a stipend of gold, no less than 500 pieces of gold, so that the war effort might be met with a swift and assured victory. And there are rallying cries of support and victory from the crowds all around, but also no small amount of anxiety and unsuredness. What is Flumph Inc.'s immediate response?
How can we make money off that?
Wow.
So I guess we're sending Kevin.
We're not a house.
Absolutely not.
No.
Look, I can make him a sword. Or would a mace be better for undead?
When did Flumph Inc. become a house?
Yeah, we're not a house.
Yeah.
Well,
If we're a house,
We're a barge.
you guys all live together on that barge.
Mm-hmm.
okay. When you said house, I thought you meant like the noble families and shit.
Well, household.
Yeah.
No, if he was only calling for one fighter from every noble family, he wouldn't get an army.
Mhm.
No, every household in Dunfoss, all the way down to the tiniest shacks in Brokenwood. He's calling his.
If any of
boys.
us are going, we're all going.
Yeah.
But I want to put it out there. I don't, we're not a house. We're a barge.
As the speech comes to an end, and the king turns to step down, you see him noticeably falter very badly, and if not for the immediate support of his sister, leader of his palace guard, standing next to him to catch his arm, he would have pratfalled right there in front of the citizenry.
Is there any obvious signs of what like his ailment is, like from the outside?
Not that you can tell, but you can imagine that they've spent all day making him look his best, and he still looks terrible. He's having great difficulty walking, leaning almost entirely on his sister, going back in the direction of the palace.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, the entire crowd... So listening in on the merchants, they're pleasantly surprised. They're very relieved that they're going to be marching back north to Grelgram with an army of Dunfoss behind them. They're very pleased to hear that Maximilian Silverwolf has not forgotten his roots. Mm-hmm. And yeah, lots of men in the crowd, lots of young men are biting at the chance to prove their worth on the battlefield and win gold and glory. There's also a lot of fear, for obvious reasons.
Right.
A lot of people don't know how they're going to manage. Like, the only man in our house is 60-year-old grandpa, and we can't get 500 gold together kind of situation.
And we're kind of in the same situation, because the only, like, person that we could possibly send is Kevin, and no.
We could send Gus.
So
we can send Gus's buddy, who now lives in his boat.
Where do you guys reconvene after this? This speech happened pretty early in the morning, just after breakfast.
So we're probably on the barge talking about it.
Do we know a timeline of when people are supposed to enlist by?
When you guys get back to the barge, that'll probably very swiftly.
Okay.
When you get back to the barge, Kevin races out to meet you on the barge, and he has a pot on his head like a helmet, and he's swinging around a wooden sword like a stick.
Kevin, you're not going anywhere.
And he looks
Isn't he, though?
dejected. He's like, I thought for sure you'd be sending Gus, and I thought perhaps I could squire for him. I know he's not a proper knight, but nonetheless.
Do you think I'd let you go out there with a pot on your head?
Well, I don't have a proper helmet.
Like, come here, and I'm gonna. Gus is not gonna say anything. He's gonna correct his form.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's difficult to do with a pot.
Talking about the corrective of sword, the stick swinging.
Okay, and he looks very cheered up by this.
Because I feel like Gus would have been trying to teach him how to use simple weapons. Because
he's not. Well, a sword isn't a simple weapon.
I know, but like clubs and things up until now.
And as Gus is doing this, Alex pulls out a bit of string and starts measuring him for a suit of armor.
Are you serious?
So,
are you really gonna do this?
No, we're not sending the child.
The question as to whether Flumph Inc. counts as a household, feel like you could argue that either way, but it is going to have to be argued in one way or the other. In a couple of days, the little man
here's the problem, guys. If we're not a household, then I'm going for my father. Seeker, I think Seeker, Lucius, and Florian are all just going. Like, you'd all be individual households.
Florian's not from here.
You live here, though. I'm not from here either. I'm from the desert across the ocean.
And I'm from Blue Worm.
I guess you could just go back to Blue Worm.
Maybe it's time for me to just move on.
Kevin, if you're going to the army, you are not joining as a lineman. You are not going on the front lines of any army at any time. That's ridiculous. There's no glory there.
I have to teach you invisibility.
Yeah, is it early? Can we have enough time to teach Kevin a cantrip at least? I mean, he's been working at it, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Or is he's just a terrible student?
In order to learn a cantrip, you've got to reach level 1 in a class. Or
he's
you have
definitely not level 1.
You have to get high enough in advancement to get a feat. Like,
how much EXP has he stolen from us?
He's
so
a
in
commoner.
1 week, I could build a chain shirt.
I mean, boys have gone to war with less.
Does the army need a quartermaster?
I'm sure we have extra weapons from orcs or something sitting around here.
Do you think we can, if we all volunteer and go together, what do you think would happen?
The Flumph will
we shut down our business, and
the flying
Corio Fireblood calls in his debts, is none to be paid. We lose everything.
I mean, we can
probably go to debtor's prison.
Gold?
Probably going to debtor's prison.
500 gold. We can.
I'm picturing Seeker showing up and being like, "Hey guys, I'm here for the war. Is General taken? I could do that."
He's the kind of asshole who would too.
He could probably get away with it.
You guys did
Seeker would make an incredible general.
You guys did just make 600 gold. on sales. But Kevin has, for one, he's definitely bought into this idea of winning glory for king and country. And the reality is probably a lot of his friends his age are going off to war.
Gus is going to, like Kevin, fighting in a war, it sucks a lot. And Gus is going to just tell him about like the sleeping in the dirt, the marching through the mud.
I think if
and he puffs his chest out and says, "A little dirt and mud never bothered me, sir."
I think honestly, what
human, right?
Yeah. What's Lucius saying?
Yeah. Honestly, I think if what we do is if he has his heart set on this, I cannot demand that he stop.
You certainly can. He's apprenticed to you. He has to do whatever the hell you tell him to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Alex is like, he's already sizing up. Okay, give me a week. I can get him instead of scale mail.
No,
honestly, Alex, I'm kind of on board with Alex. Like, if this is the thing that he does, then we need to send him out with as much protection as we can muster.
Kevin, do you remember when we were attacked by the leeches? Do you remember how terrifying that was? It's that every day, and people yell at you all the time, and you don't get enough food, and you're cold, and you're tired, and you don't get paid for shit.
And you just see all of the patriotism drain out of him at your explanation.
Yeah, we'll not lie to you and say it'll be all glory all day. You won't be feasting like a king you won't be keep feasting like kings out there.
Well, I don't feast like a king now.
Yeah,
I think the squire idea has some merit. Seeker just suddenly says, "Do you think because if you know noblemen, Lucius, none of them are going to be spending 500 gold so that they can say that they avoided a war.
Surely not.
But do you think any nobleman's son is going to be serving on the front lines? No.
Certainly not, no.
Who do we know that needs a squire that we can send Kevin with?
Would that qualify?
He's going to be joining the army. Like I said, if they're going to be making one exception, all we need to find is the person who we need to make the second exception to. What's your friend doing?
Likely getting drunk.
The bro.
Yeah, likely getting drunk. Worried that he's going to have to go off to war, possibly.
Have him ask around his friends. See if there's someone that is in need of a Batman.
I really think we should just pay the money and not send Kevin off to war.
Seeker's thought is that if they do that, he's just going to run away.
And you're fighting undead, right? That's what the king said. There's an army of undead. So
Yeah.
I can't imagine even the raping and the pillaging would be any good.
Gus looks at Florian and just Florian,
What?
and he makes a shush noise, like a shush hand
What?
gesture.
In
Yeah,
war
don't be
and
ridiculous.
conquering,
Florian,
there's raping and pillaging.
let me.
Florian, they're dwarves. The pillaging is going to be incredible.
You're telling your 10-year-old apprentice, don't go to war because sex with a 300-year-old dead dwarven king is no fun.
Yep.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
Florian.
It's so fun.
That thing you do where you talk sometimes?
I'd like to point out that in the chat somebody posted, "Oh no, Florian is talking" a while ago, and I think it applies even more now.
So are you gonna put feelers out and see if Lucius, if you're
Yeah, I think that's our best approach is to have Kevin serve as one of these noblemen. We know a lot of nobility in town.
So, in so doing, your confidant playboy friend Elman, he is in fact drinking his sorrows away tremendously today. He's had it from his father from no uncertain terms that he's either going to fight or he's going to find a way to pay the 500 gold or he's disowned. He's reached the end of the line with his father. He's got to come up, and even if he comes up with 500 gold to stay home, he's just going to have to get married and put down roots.
Mm-hmm.
So he's either got to go and fight or come up with the money, and you know that he can't put together 500 gold.
Yeah.
And that's why he's drinking a lot today.
Then yeah. Do we want to put it forward to Elman, fellas?
That's up to you.
Is he our pick?
I mean, can Elman fight?
What's Elman's position? What's a general, like, someone like Elman, what would he be doing in the army? They wouldn't have him on the front line. He's the heir of a noble house.
It's an excellent question that could have 1,000 different answers.
Like, as part of Elman's training as a noble, like, to learn to use martial weapons? Is he like part of the actual feudal hierarchy?
He probably has some basic weapons training and stuff, just as a matter of his upbringing. Yeah, he's not an official knight,
Sure.
but he's in a station where if he does distinguish himself in battle, he could earn a knighthood. That's definitely within the cards.
Then I think Elman.
Yeah, I think our best bet is to rather than spend the week looking for someone else, spend the week getting Elman to the point where we need to convince him that he just needs to make a good show of it if he's going to have to do it at all.
Oh God, bring him here, and I'll teach him. I'll give him a week of boot camp.
So first,
And Seeker will give him a week of looking good.
First thing I need you to do is persuade him that he's going to survive the war. If he can't be persuaded of that, there is a 0% chance he's going to be sober at all between now and his deployment.
This is not a thing Florian should do.
Does
Alexander.
Elman already have equipment? Like, does he already have...
He'll already have
Alexander.
all the equipment
Okay.
he can. He doesn't have the
Alexander,
frame
give
to
me a
wear
cigarette.
plate armor,
Yep.
though.
Go for it.
Because I can make that check. I'm pretty confident I can make that check.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. That's really good. That's a 19 plus 8 is 27.
So the question is, like, how do you persuade him of this? There's a couple, like, you could say, you know, if you go out there, you keep your head down, you're a son of a nobleman, they're not going to put you on the front lines. Or you could go the other direction and be like, oh, I've seen you use a sword, you're better than you think. You know, these are just, like, zombies and ghouls and things. They're not even real people.
Is he better than he thinks?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
So, what's the story you use to persuade him?
Lucius wants to talk him up because I feel that with a little bit of extra practice that you put in with my good friend Gustavus, I think you could be up to snuff, and you definitely have the potential. You just need to be applied. You just need to apply yourself.
Okay. Gus.
Yeah.
What weapon are you going to train him in? Because, I mean, he's got some basic training with, like, fencing swords and things. Like, you wouldn't use a fencing sword. Has Gus fought undead before? Let's start with that.
How common are undead in the desert?
Extremely common.
Yeah, then Gus has fought undead.
already.
Yeah, we have, but like
Make either a history or religion check. Either one.
I am not trained in either one of these.
It's okay. Make it anyway.
But I'm just seeing which one has the highest. They're the same.
Mm-hmm. They're the same.
That's a 5.
A 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what kind of weapon are you going to train him in?
Like who? Kevin or
both of them?
Or both of them?
Kevin, I am going to make a mace for.
Okay.
I was about to say I'll train Kevin in the mace because it's a simple weapon,
yep.
and it's close enough to probably what I've been teaching him, which is just a club.
Yep.
Same thing with Elman.
And Elman, I will, like, yeah, I'll teach him how to use a warhammer.
I mean, if you want to, Morningstar Warhammer, I could.
Yeah, that way, because he's got martial weapon training. Can he use a martial weapon?
No.
Does he have any more?
He doesn't have proficiency in martial weapons. He has, as being a member of the nobility, he has some martial weapon training from his upbringing, but not enough to say he's proficient in them. No, absolutely not.
Okay.
I think a mace is good for both.
Yeah, I can make 2 maces. I mean, he has his own equipment, but I can make Kevin's mace.
Yeah. A mace would probably be, since he's undead, if you're going to be fighting undead, a mace would probably be the best thing for you.
Gus.
Yep.
I want you to make a to-hit roll with a mace, but I want you to use intelligence as the driving stat instead of strength.
Okay. So that would be... efficiency, so that would be 13.
13. Kevin is an excellent student.
Uh-huh.
Emmett is maybe just north of hopeless.
Okay.
Even with a mace, even just swing at the... What do you do? Come on. Just hit... It's a target dummy, and it's... Ugh. That's kind of how your days are going with Emmett. Or with Elman, rather.
Okay.
What do you guys do to persuade Elman that he should take Kevin on as his squire?
Because he can swing a mace and you can't.
Make a persuasion check at advantage.
We're going to get poor Kevin killed.
Oh no!
I want to pay the 500.
We're gonna get Elman killed, and Kevin is gonna come back a hero.
Yeah, I'm
He's like a
giving
level 6 fighter.
Elman training on the side in more useful things, like how to look really good fighting things and to get credit for things you do.
How'd that persuasion?
Pretty good. That is a 21.
Okay. So you can tell it's a major blow to Elman's ego when you say, like, listen, Kevin's pretty good at hitting the target dummy. That's why you should take him. You'll have... It's a blow to his ego to kind of be told point blank this 10-year-old fights better than you. But he's not so stubborn as to see that it's not true. So...
I mean, Gus is going to train them both up until the absolute last minute they have to report in.
Okay.
Like, this is not something... I'm not giving up on Elman.
The other side of this is for 30 gold pieces and 6 days of work, I can make a mace, a shield, and a set of... where's the armor? A set of scale mail for Kevin.
Kevin can't use the scale mail.
He's not proficient in it. That doesn't mean he can't use it. It's still protection.
He can wear it.
Yep.
That's heavy armor, right?
It's medium.
Medium.
You figure probably it's going to take a couple of days for the Fettlesmen to call the banners from the surrounding lands. I mean, it's going to take a couple of weeks probably to completely amass this army. You imagine you could probably keep Elman and Kevin back for 2 weeks, maybe 3, before suspicion starts to set in. By that point, you would think that they would start to be setting out protections along the road up to the north, and they would have to make some kind of appearance at least. Probably within the next couple of days, somebody's going to be around to make sure that the Flumph Inc. household is going to be fulfilling... Thank you. Is going to be fulfilling the Crown's proclamation. And that would be the point where you would make the argument that you're not really a household if you were so inclined.
If we make that argument, we just end up having to send 5 people.
Yeah.
If we're not a household, we're 5 individual households.
Okay, so here's the... Are we sending Kevin? Are we paying the money? I really don't want to send Kevin. Who's going to get the coffee?
Linda.
Yes, Linda goes and gets the coffee.
Train Scrappy to get coffee for you. Just put an espresso machine, just build it into him like on the side.
So to be clear, even though you have trained Kevin to use a mace and wield a mace, and he's really good at it, you still don't want to send him.
No, he's a 10-year-old boy.
Okay. I just want to make sure I got that right.
Like, my vote is... I'm going to... Like, if everybody... Like, I can't unilaterally give out money that belongs to the company.
I disagree with sending any. I disagree with sending any child to war, but unfortunately, we live under the crown. We live under these rules.
They gave us
For the time being, we can't. I don't believe we can afford it.
Seeker
we
takes
can
us
afford it.
aside and says, "Listen, this sucks, right? Here's my take on this, and being honest with you, have you seen Kevin swing that mace? He's going. Now the question is, do you want him to be behind the lines with a nobleman who looks like he would run the second he saw a zombie, or do you want him to run away and be at the front of the lines with a bunch of children?"
And a wooden sword. And a
There's
pawn
a
on
wooden
its head.
sword.
I am literally going to train them until the last minute. Like we're talking like double time training. Like they're gonna hate his buddy is going to hate me at the end of this, probably. Like how much training would it take to get how much training would it take to get a commoner up to a level 1 fighter, like with that?
10-year-old.
Fighter?
Let's see.
A 10-year-old, nonetheless.
Yeah, it's fighter that like maybe a man at arms, but like an actual fighter is really
Can we get him to drink dragon blood and become
like
a sorcerer?
I would settle for like a hit die and proficiency. I don't need him to be a fighter.
A couple of weeks of training, which they'll do out in the field as well. You'll have like a Mulan situation out there. I can't remember the guy's name now.
Sidekick.
Let's get down to business. That guy. With a couple of weeks training, can make a decent foot soldier out of just about anybody. Here's the weak spots to hit, and then it's just a matter of do you have the guts to not break and run at the first sign of the enemy. That we'll not know for sure until they actually get there.
I mean, I'm going to teach Kevin how to use a mace in close combat and like as best I can, and then I guess I'll alternate between the mace and a spear, because if they're going to put him on, if he ends up on a line, he's going to need to know how to use a spear.
Okay.
I can make a spear too. It's still in the budget.
They're just like a gold.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fifth of a day to make a spear.
So, like,
Gus.
I really just want to get him proficiency in at least one of the weapons.
Your buddy
I thought
Heckram.
Can you focus on getting him proficiency in the armor?
Oh, yeah, he's doing all of this while he's wearing the armor. He's wearing the armor. Oh, yeah, no. They're both wearing the armor. I don't care if it's uncomfortable. Like, if I had to go out and borrow armor, they're both wearing armor.
Your buddy Heckram is also conscripted. He's effectively the only member of his household. And he does stop by in the next couple of days at some point. Tells you that he'll be setting out shortly. He thanks you for the kindness you've shown him.
I'll shake his hand.
Just in case you do not meet again. Hopefully he comes back to Dunfoss a better man.
When you get back, I'll buy you another drink.
Hey, Heckram. I don't like you very much, but what kind of weapon do you like?
He was a moss cap, so he effectively uses a pike. Probably also proficient with daggers. And he owns a short sword as well.
The only pike we have is the demonically.
I mean, I could...
Here, Kevin, attune to this.
Attune to this hand.
Oh no, a pike is only 5 gold pieces. Yeah, I can make him a pike. Just throw it on the pile of stuff I'm making.
Okay.
Kevin, do you want some magic beads?
Magic beads?
The silence beads.
What would he do with what use would those be?
I'm kidding.
Oh God. Oh.
When
For
you get
keeping it
back,
quiet while he's with the undead king.
Kevin, when you get back, I'm going to teach you how to properly use everything.
So as this is all going on, you guys do owe the Ponce on the 6th.
Uh-huh.
Coin?
No,
I thought
I
we were gonna
have
talk about the-
information for him.
Yeah,
No,
about
I mean,
a coin.
About the coin. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, yeah.
When he pays you a visit, he is in dire spirits, as is most of the town. He assures you that though he is not officially a Dunfoston citizen, nor recognized as a member of the nobility yet, but he was more than happy to give the crown a 500 gold stipend plus another 500 besides, to see that House Fireblood is represented on the lines. Someday he hopes that his house will be reestablished, that he will have many children, many servants, and so the next time the banners are called, he can represent Fireblood on the field, indeed, rather than only in gold.
That's cool. We're sending our 10-year-old kid. Florian offers that unprompted.
Oh my god.
He seems concerned because he's very fond of Kevin in his previous visits.
I bet he does.
He says you need only ask. And
yeah, I bet.
it's no problem to add another 500 gold onto the debt you already owe him, and he would be happy to pay the stipend in your stead. If
I bet you would. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I would rather you invest that into Kevin, but
What are you asking him to do?
Nothing.
no, I think we'll have it handled ourselves.
So what do you tell him? What do you have for him on the 6th?
I tell him that we've been investigating the coin, and we have an invitation to a meeting. Unfortunately, it was disrupted by the, and the Seeker waves in Kevin's general direction.
Mm-hmm.
But we have a meeting with the King's sister in order to discuss coins of similar creation. We understand that she's a expert in such things.
And he looks concerned again. Do you suppose the King's sister will be predisposed these days? Surely the crown has her very busy indeed.
And Seeker nods and says that it's likely that we won't get the chance to speak with her until after the army leaves, but I hardly doubt she'll be leaving with them. And she'd probably be looking for a bit of a distraction afterwards.
He asks if he can see the coin in question.
It's the no, we don't have the actual coin. We have a replica.
The deal is the coin. If somebody comes up with its match, they will drop everything.
Yeah.
Come to service of House Fireblood.
Uh-huh.
So you show him the replica?
Yeah.
And this is a promise that his ancestor had made.
Yes.
And Seeker nods.
He says, if you should come across the people who have told you this, tell them the Corio Fireblood will uphold the promise. And he says this with great pride and a swelling, rosy outlook on his face and windswept hair.
I'm sure they'll be ecstatic to hear so.
So